Hi everybody, welcome to my custom diecast making of video. If you've been on the Goodyear Cup Series website, which I will put a link to in the description, that is a great place to find any kind of general news about the series. You may have seen that we've announced Whataburger has signed on with Westbrook Motorsports for a few races to sponsor the 94 car. And we've got a nice new custom paint job for that. And so I figured I'd walk you guys through my creation process. So step one is design your car. Now, if you've got great drawing skills or if you have Adobe Photoshop, great, good for you. But if you're like me, you have neither of those things. But you do have Microsoft PowerPoint, which I won't go into detail here, but believe it or not, it can become a sort of poor man's PowerPoint. So it's a great place to kind of design some simple paint schemes, and simple is best. You know, here's the number one rule for a great paint scheme, and that is a child should be able to draw it from memory. Just remember that and you will have great paint schemes. So once you've got your design in mind, it's time to get you a car that you are going to paint. This car I got at Texas Motor Speedway a couple years ago. It was just at one of the generic NASCAR trailers, so I like how it's not anybody's specific car, so I can really make it my own. It's really important that you find a car with screws on the bottom instead of rivets. That way you can actually get the car body off without damaging anything. Unfortunately, on these cars, the windshields is glued on, so it's too much of a risk to damage it to try and take it off. So what we have to do is we have to get some painter's tape and an X-Acto knife and tape up all of those windows inside and out. It's very important that you tape up the inside of the windows as well, because paint is going to seep in through the wheel wells when we spray paint it. And if you don't have that underside covered up by the tape, you're just going to get a complete mess of a windshield. So once you've got it taped up, take it outside and we're going to put a coat of primer on. Now, if I was doing this super duper professionally, I probably would have sanded the car and cleaned off the existing decals. I don't have that kind of time and patience, so just one layer of primer is good enough. Once you've got that layer of primer on and it's dry, it's time to pick out what color is going to be your base coat. It's really important to think about which color you want the base coat to be, because you're going to have to tape it off later. So really try and think about what's going to be the easiest thing to tape off, and whatever you tape off is going to be the color of that base coat. So for this car, we're going to do white. So we went outside and gave it a couple of layers, just one or two, of white base coat. Next is arguably the most difficult part of the entire process, and that is the taping off. Like I said, you want to tape off all of the areas that you want to be the color of the base coat. You see the real thin red strips of tape there? Those you can pick up. I got them at Hobby Lobby, somewhere around the drawing aisle or painting aisle or something. But they've got loads of different widths of artist's tape, or I don't know what it's called. But it is extremely handy for our purposes. So after we've got everything properly taped up, take it outside and we put on our coat of orange paint. And when it dries, we'll take the top layer of tape off, and this is what we've got. We're starting to see the paint scheme come into shape. Now it's time for the decals. There's probably better products out there to do this, but what I usually use is some 3M full sheet printable labels. They come in white background and clear background. The clear background isn't that great, especially if you're using white backgrounds for things, because your printer's not going to print white. But get yourself some sort of printable sticker and go to either Microsoft Word or PowerPoint and just print out all the decals. You can do Google searches for sponsor logos. We had to make the number 94 using the word art part, but here you can see all of the logos. It took a little bit of trial and error to get the scale perfect, so I would suggest once you've got all your decals there, print it on just a regular sheet of printer paper to make sure you've got the right size, and then just cut them out with an X-Acto knife and some scissors. Alright, so here's the car with the decals applied. It's starting to look great, but there's one more step we have to take, and that is taking it outside and putting a few layers of clear coat on it. That'll really protect the paint, protect the stickers a little bit. It won't completely seal in the stickers. If I put in tons of layers of clear coat, it probably would, but I'm too lazy. So just 3 or 4 layers of clear coat, and then we will finally get to take that tape off. And there she is. Isn't she beautiful? Once we've got the clear coat finished, we're ready to screw the body back onto the chassis, and we are ready to go racing in this beautiful Whataburger paint scheme. Normally I don't do original designs, I just completely rip off other people's designs, but this is actually a completely original design, heavily inspired by the Whataburger takeout bags and those little stand-up numbers that they give you once you take your order. I'm actually really proud of this design. It looks great on track, and I can't wait for you guys to see it in Phoenix.